White. You doing okay? All right. I've got to get you out of here so you can go back and knock on doors. All right? Here. All right, who's in charge? I don't think who's in charge.
Hi, everybody.
We've been in the back getting trim.
No, you're fine.
Bill Bolling, who serves as our Lieutenant Governor and our Chief Jobs Creator for our Commonwealth of Virginia. We are here to talk about some of the small businesses that we own here, and we'd like to welcome you to our community.
Thank you, Jenny. Very much. Open up your business today and letting us come in. We really do appreciate that. Hey, how are you? We appreciate that very much. You know, small businesses like this one are the backbone of Virginia's economy, and they're the backbone of America's economy. So to be able to be here today, 11 days prior to Election Day, to campaign a little bit with my friend Morgan Griffith is an honor, and I can't think of a better place to do it than right here in a great small business like Jamie's. I want to thank you all for coming out this afternoon, and more than that, thanks for everything that you're doing to help elect Morgan to the United States Congress. You know, it is important in the last 11 days of this race that we all be out doing everything we can be doing, knocking on doors and passing out literature and encouraging people to get to the polls to vote on Election Day, because every vote counts. And this race is going to be won or lost between now and Election Day. This is a very competitive race. This is a race that we can win. And if we all work just as hard as we can for the next 11 days, I believe it's a race we will win, and Morgan Griffith will be the next congressman from the 9th Congress. You know, let me just say a couple things. You know, our country today is in serious trouble, and the American people know that. You know, when you look at the polls and the percentage of people that believe that in the last 18, 19, 20 months, America has gone off on a very wrong track is very high. And that's being driven, of course, by the fact that our economy is still in a very, very deep hole. There are a lot of issues that concern folks today, but it really does all come back to the economy. You know, people want to see us get this economy moving again. They want to see us create jobs. And nowhere is that more true than right here in the 9th Congressional District. It is somewhat amazing to me, though, to watch the President and Nancy Pelosi and their allies in Congress wring their hands. They wring their hands, and they can't figure out why the economy is not growing again. Well, let me tell you why the economy is not growing again. It's because they continue to pursue anti-business policies in Washington, D.C. And the truth is that the economy is never going to start growing again until they stop pursuing anti-business policies and they start pursuing pro-business policies. Now, I know that sounds, you know, almost too simple to solve the problem, but it really is that simple. If you look at the policies that have been pursued in the last 18 months by the administration in Washington and their colleagues in the Congress, including the current congressman from here in the 9th Congressional District, these are not policies that create jobs, they're policies that kill jobs. You know, policies like card check and cap and trade and national health insurance with these massive employer mandates and fines and penalties. An environmental protection agency that is out of control, squashing the ability of business to grow in our country today. All of the spending, all of the debt that is mortgaging our children's future. Looking down the barrel of the largest tax increase in the history of our country on January 1st, if the federal tax cuts of 2001 and 3 aren't extended for every American family. These are not policies that create jobs. They're not policies that will get the economy moving again. These are policies that will kill jobs and drive the economy deeper into recession or back into recession. Now, the current congressman in the 9th Congressional District on almost all of these issues has been on the anti-business side. And for them to then wonder why the economy's not growing, it's because of the policies they're pursuing. And there's only one way to change that. And the way we change it is to send a strong message to Washington on November 2nd that the country's on the wrong track, and send a strong congressman to Washington on November 2nd, like Morgan Griffith, who will pursue pro-business policies and not anti-business policies. You know, I can tell you right now, when Morgan goes to Congress, he will not be supporting cap and trade like the current congressman from the 9th District did. And cap and trade, you know, we need to understand it's not just a terrible impact on the coal industry, which is critical to the economy of Southwest Virginia, but it's also the impact that it has on energy taxes and on energy costs. I mean, people in this part of the state are already paying some astronomically higher electric utility rates. Well, you pass that bill and those energy costs are going to go up for every single taxpayer. Well, Morgan's not going to support that. He's not going to be writing the bill like your current congressman did. He's going to be up there opposing that and making sure that it doesn't happen. You know, all of this government spending that's simply out of control, Morgan knows that we have to get government spending under control. The fastest growing thing in the economy should not be the government. The fastest growing thing in the economy should be the private sector, businesses, large and small, just like the one that we're in today. But that's not going to be the case until we get government spending under control. He's going to work to bring down the debt. A $13 trillion national debt is simply unsustainable. And everybody knows that it's simply unsustainable. Well, the people who created these problems are not the people to solve the problems. The people to solve the problem is a new generation of leadership that Morgan will provide. Now, he'll go up there and work to replace those bad provisions of the National Health Insurance Law. Get rid of those mandates, those fines, those penalties. Repeal those things so that the country and the economy can grow again. He'll work to get government out of people's lives and off their backs. He'll work to get government out of the lives and off of the backs of businesses. And he'll work to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit that is the greatness of America. And I'll tell you one other thing. He won't support raising taxes on any single American taxpayer. He will work to make the tax cuts of 2001 and 2003 permanent for every American taxpayer. And that's what should happen in Washington. So, the choice really is pretty simple. You know, it is a choice between a team of Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Congressman Boucher, a team that is going to continue to pursue the same anti-business policies that have dug a very deep hole for our economy. And, you know, I learned a long time ago the first secret to getting out of a hole is to what? Stop digging. And we're not going to be able to get out of the hole until we stop pursuing anti-business policies and replace that team with a different team, with Morgan Griffith's team. A team that's going to work to keep taxes low, get regulation under control, get the government out of the way, and unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of the private sector in our country. Small businesses, large and small, just like this one. So it really is that simple. So we need to work as hard as we can for these next 11 days to get that message across and to turn voters out to the polls. People are concerned about the future of our country, as well they should be. But we have an opportunity on November 2nd to do something about that. Let me just close by saying this. I've known this guy for 15 years, probably actually a little more than that, but we've served together in state government for 15 years. He is the real deal. He has the right principles, he has the right values, he is a smart, hard-working guy who will represent the people of the 9th Congressional District the way they deserve to be represented, and will pursue policies to help get the economy moving again in America back on the right track. So I want to thank you all for everything you're doing for him. Keep it up for these next 11 days, and it is my pleasure to introduce your next Congressman, Morgan Griffith.
Thank you very much, Bill, for coming out. Gina Ann, there you are, for coming out in support of our campaign today. We appreciate that very, very much. I will tell you that we've had somebody come through. We got another young man needs to get through.
Has he voted yet? Or get your congressman here, Morgan Griffith, we want you to meet Morgan.
Never want to stand in the way of the sale. So I want to make sure that if folks want to come in or need to get out after getting a haircut, that we make sure we make room for them. Because that is what drives our economy. People getting services and using services and making things, mining things, growing things. That's how you build your economy. And unfortunately, the group in Washington that's currently in control, Obama, Pelosi, and Boucher, have not been doing that. And it's unfortunate. And you heard the Lieutenant Governor go through a lot of the things, and of course I'll get to cap and trade because we always get to cap and trade, but it does seem to me, if you watched the debate last night, there seems to be somewhat of a disconnect. My opponent doesn't want to do away with earmarks because he doesn't want the power taken away from the individual congressmen who know their districts better. I think the congressmen should have more power. But when it comes to things like, balancing the budget, he doesn't want a balanced budget amendment. He wants a commission to suddenly, after 28 years in Congress, he wants to propose a commission that's going to say, we're going to make the cuts. And at one point, he said, oh, no, Congress has to sign off on it. And at another point, he said, Congress needs to accept it without any changes. And when I challenged him on it, you would have thought it was interesting. He said, oh, no, Congress has to put the final approval on it. But within a matter of, a minute and a half, for those of you that watched, he went from Congress has to make these decisions to we're going to have a commission make these decisions. When he talks about cap and trade, which is a job killer, he says on the one hand, we want Congress to make the decisions. On the other hand, he says, well, the EPA is going to do it. So we had to make a decision, and this was the best I could do. But he failed to note that there was just a few votes that passed cap and trade, and had he not been, in the words of the Sierra Club, the linchpin in getting cap and trade passed, not only would cap and trade have not passed the House, but the congressman from the 9th District ought to be leading the charge to take the power away from the EPA, because the congressmen ought to be making the decisions and not having to feel like that if they don't kowtow to the EPA, that the EPA will do something bad to their district. I ask you this question: who elected the EPA? The answer is no one. And the congressman from the 9th District of Virginia should not feel that he is beholden to the EPA. It should be the EPA that is beholden to Congress representing the people of the United States of America. And that is something that unfortunately Mr. Boucher has forgotten. It's kind of interesting. It's like we're in two somewhat different worlds. He's got a TV ad out where he talks about jobs and how if you listen to the ad and you didn't drive down the streets of the communities in the 9th District, you would think that the 9th District was one of the most prosperous places in the United States of America, that the unemployment was not excessively high, that we did not have a number of counties, I believe it's 8 or 6, that have unemployment well above 9%. That the 9th District of Virginia didn't have 8 jurisdictions that lost population in the last 10 years. And when you listen to that ad, you hear him say, in fact, since I took over the congressional seat, there are 28,000 more jobs. But ladies and gentlemen, there are 100,000 more people. And 34,000 of them are unemployed but want jobs. The others are retired, disabled, or young. So I submit to you, I don't know how he can go on TV in a debate and say one thing, actually said a couple things in that pattern, and come back and say something different in the district, or at least he has a different worldview. And then, of course, there's cap and trade. And his answer to why he voted for it has evolved somewhat.